Ladies and gentlemen, and if there are boys and girls in the room, I don't know why, but I think that's fantastic. You all can be seated. You've joined us for the Bob Doyle Show, which is a wonderful thing, and if you're new here, welcome. I'll ask you to please consider subscribing and definitely click the bell so that you'll never miss a minute of the exciting Bob Doyle Show action. And that's how we say action here.
It's the Bob Doyle Show.
Now, if you're watching this live over here on YouTube, I'm going to want to hear from you. You'll see this amazingly filled comment screen here, thanks to folks like Loretta and Ursula and Sarah and Valerie and Victoria. So we want to hear from you as well, ladies and gentlemen. It just feels good in our ears to hear from you. So, if you are new to this show, because it could happen. My guest today, Steve G. Jones. No shock to any of you. I'm sure that's the only reason you're here. But whatever, as long as you're here. And remember, since you're here, subscribe and click the bell. Where's my there? All right. So, by the way, when you click the bell, it will not make that sound. So there's nothing wrong with your computer, and you don't have to worry about it. So if you're new to the show, welcome. I'm so freaking tickled pink. I'm hiding the pink parts, but I shouldn't have said that out loud at all. That's one of those things where sometimes you just say stuff, and it's live. Okay, now look, I really try and hold it together when I do things like that, but let's just move on. How about you first? You move on, I'll follow you, and wherever you go, I'll be there. This show is about talking to people who make the world a happier place. Now, some of it is admittedly me talking just at you, like I'm doing right now. Clearly, I did not have a script for this. I'm peeking at your comments to see if we're still good, Okay. So I'm talking at you right now, but what I'm also doing is talking to other people who will talk at you. This is a very roundabout way of saying that we do interviews. But again, this show is about finding ways to make your life a little happier, because come on, right? Every day it needs to be happier, and there are little things you can do. I like to call them, as of yesterday, happiness hacks. Yes! Isn't that adorable? There's a little bit delayed reaction on the crowd's part, but okay. I know sometimes when you hear things like that, you just go, wait, I got to be with this for a second. Yes, I like it. Stand up and clap. Happiness hacks. And these are the things like, I think I actually have a small list of examples right here, or I should have. Yeah, things like, of course, I mention all the time, taking a Wintergreen Lifesaver with you everywhere you go so that you can just, at any time when stress levels get a little, you just pop that in and go, and good memories come flooding in. Things like that. I've got a whole list of them here, and the list is growing. I'll give you another example. See, it's about just taking this much stress out of your life. And then you can layer these. You can stack the hacks. Again, trademark. Okay, that's a lot of clapping. I appreciate it, but it's really not necessary. You can, like a high school graduation, you can hold your applause till the end. But if you do, my feelings will be hurt. All right, Ursula is waiting, and that's part of this show, is waiting for me to get to what I actually have promoted for several days. Like, okay, so you're talking to Steve D. Jones, but right now what you're doing is just talking at me like you said you were going to do. Right, and so I do that for a good 10 minutes. Hopefully it's good. That's very subjective, and I may have to grow on you. So, please try and stay showered. Just for, it's just common courtesy. So I'll give you another couple of examples. These are things you can do in your life that will just lighten things a little. And sometimes when you lighten things just a little bit, you see the world through an entirely different lens. And I actually am serious about saying that. So let's just, now this is an extreme example. But if you do it, I promise you, your day will lighten. So I'm going to take off my glasses well, maybe I won't. Get an animal mask and commit commit. Wear it, I don't know, at least half the day, so that when you see yourself in the mirror. Now, I'm not telling you to go out in public. Okay, I'm not asking you to do that. If you do, and I know that there are those of you who would, I don't know why I haven't been moving my hands. See, it's even funnier with the hands. So this is what you do. You get an animal mask, and you stand in front of the mirror, and you talk about how bad your day is going and see how long you can take yourself seriously. And what will happen? Your cortisol levels will go down, and your life will feel a little better. Just trust me. And look, if you don't like animals and you'd rather wear some other kind of a mask, okay. We don't need to debate this. Sometimes you just come in ready to argue. Let's check in with you. We've got names I can't pronounce, which is great because it means there's new folks here, and of course, you new folks, you know what to do. Subscribe, and boy, okay, the bell needs work. We're going to try this one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bob Doyle Show. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell so that you're notified every time I live. Okay. All right, let's get back to your comments. I'm scared of foxes now. I'm super stressed out. Thanks, Bob. Well, I would refer you, Leanne, to last week's guest, Brad Yates, where you can learn to tap away your phobias through the magic of emotional freedom techniques. We talked to him at length, and that's the kind of valuable information you'll find right here on the Bob Doyle Show. We've still got about 4 more minutes before I feel sort of contractually obligated with a contract. It's a contract I made with myself. You weren't involved in the decision-making process. I don't want you to take that personally. It's just, hey, yeah, it's my show. I can't. What am I going to do? Really? Private message each one of you with every freaking show decision I have to make? No, at some point, I just got to own it, And this is the point. I'm sorry, and I don't want any of you to take it personally. But because we have a few minutes left, that means I have another example. Now, some of you who are longtime watchers of this show, kudos to you. How do you do it? It's easy, right? Right? See, this is what the new people need to know. Like, they're looking and they're going, this guy, was he in The Secret for real? What is going on with him? Look, maybe it's an acquired taste. I don't know. And look, the interview with Dr. Steve, it's only going to be slightly goofy. So, right? And look, I will submit that I believe that your day will be better if you add a little, at least slightly goofy to it. So if you're one of these people who's just like, I'm not going to be goofy because, what will people think? Okay. How does that make you feel? Pretty serious and heavy, right? Yeah. You look at all these people being goofballs and you secretly wish you could be like them, but instead you scorn them and go, what are you doing? Because it's too painful to look at for yourself. So here's a way that's really easy for you to start to get over yourself. Just buy a stack of these things. Now I don't know. Right? You just walk around talking like this all day. Or if you always wanted to, well, that's not so much different, is it? Here we go. Now look. Get these things, get them on your face, and then maybe go to the grocery store. I don't know why, it might freak some people out, but it shouldn't be something that you avoid doing. I don't think you can get arrested for it. Right? Now see, this is so easy. Now that's just nice. A little bit too big. Let's check in with you folks, see how you're liking this bit. Let's go to the comments. Valerie smiling, Sarah smiling, Leanne saying ha ha ha, Diana really Bob goofy, oops. You know what I see? I see a bunch of smiles. Never underestimate the value of a smile. I got to record that. It's the musical tagline of this show. All right. I've taken up enough of your time. Now, you may remember, I think it was last week, maybe it was the week before, we shared a little bit of the process, the process of putting this show together. Like, back then, it was 2 weeks ago. It was like, how do I choose how many guests I want to talk to during a show? So we did a little, we shared a little, we peeled back the curtain, peeled back the layers. We lifted we veiled it, we unveiled. We did, you know what I'm saying? So this week we're going to do it again because you saw let me see if I can quickly just put this up here. All right, well, that's not in order. That's not in order. But you've seen this. Okay, that's good. This is the picture that okay, I'll point this way because it's accurate. This is the picture we used, to promote the show, the appearance with Steve G. Jones. But do you think that process just doesn't do itself? There's a whole thing. There's meetings. I have no idea because generally I'm far removed from this. But in this case, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We've prepared a little piece. Now, put your patience cap on, folks. Do you have one? Because if you don't, you're going to need one. And if you're new to this show, and kind of how I do this, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to watch this thing. Now, you're going to settle in, right? And you're just going to breathe through it. All right? Breathe through it. It's just a few minutes of your life. And then I promise you, Dr. Steve G. Jones will appear. Now, can we agree on that? You sit through this. All right? And, I invite you not to wander off because it's highly visual. Without the visual, this is nothing. This is a pure waste of your time. So, if you need readers, get them now. Okay? I'm giving you every opportunity to enjoy the next couple of minutes of your life. The doors are open wide of invitation. The doors of invitation, the DOI. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so are we ready? So we'll peek in the process, and then we'll come back. Okay? Now, remember, these interviews are pre-recorded, which means I'll be able to interact with you in the chat. So ask questions and things like that because you may give me an idea of things to say on the other side of this interview. All right, let's get into it.
All right, quiet down, you guys. Gentlemen, I like to think of you as professionals, right? So, when I come to you and ask for some simple artwork, just promotional artwork to promote the appearance of Dr. Steve G. Jones on the Bob Doyle Show, I thought, this is easy. What's going to go wrong? And then, instead of normally, I get one picture, and it's fine. Well, this week, somebody in here thought it'd be really, really funny to go online and find a bunch of pictures of Dr. Steve G. Jones looking, well, but then they didn't stop there. One of you guys thought it'd be funny to get Bob Doyle. Somebody somewhere convinced him to take time out of his schedule to do this, to match these pictures. Let's go to the next one. Not much better. Did you think I was going to use these? Let's keep going. Okay, so, look, I guess I get it, look at what we've done. We're mimicking. But Bob Doyle, he's the host of the show. The time is valuable. We got to pay him for this time. These goofy pictures you've got going, they cost us money. Oh, sure. It's hilarious. Right? Ha ha. Ties match and everything. Are you willing to pay for this? You? And this is a Google search. You guys spent time doing Google searches for Dr. Steve G. Jones pictures. What? Why? This is not even, I don't even know. And this isn't the worst one, and you know what I'm talking about. This, what is this? This can't get out. This can't get out. This is, what is this? How did you even get him to do this? Does he know what's happening here? Folks, you're all freaking fired.
So it's the moment you've all been waiting for. I know you've been waiting for it. I know, I can tell, because every time I mention Steve G, if I say Steve G, everybody goes crazy. When, how? Quickly, more quickly, tomorrow, yesterday, always. Clearly, a very requested guest. And so I thought, Bob, you're doing this new show. It's about making people happy. I'm sure there's got to be some way that hypnosis can make people happy. Now, who do I know to talk about this? I got a handful of folks. But who gets asked for more than anybody? Well, it's our guest today, ladies and gentlemen. It's no surprise. Please welcome Dr. Steve G. Jones. He's right over there. Hi, Steve.
Hello, Bob.
No, you don't have to do that.
You don't
have to do that.
Thank you for having me. You're everywhere, Bob. Hello, Bob.
We'll just Brady Bunch this thing. That would be. I wish I would have thought of that. I could have done it. Where there's be like all
kinds of people.
I'm absolutely doing that for the next time.
You gonna do all Bobs? All Bobs around the guest?
It'll be. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's going to be great.
I see the wheels turning. I'm going to look forward to it.
Yep. All right. Awesome. So, when I was, and I just thought of this literally like 20 minutes ago, when I was a young lad, growing up in Stone Mountain, Georgia, doesn't matter where, but I thought I'd throw that in. Yeah. A friend of mine and I. Now, the details are sketchy because I was very young, but I remember playing this thing where when I snap my fingers, you'll turn into a frog, right? That was this ongoing thing, and we did the rid-up, and all that other stuff. So my question to you, Steve, is that how you got interested in hypnosis? You wanted to turn people into frogs, I'm guessing?
Well, I was one, and I got turned into a hypnotherapist.
I see. So you kind of you went at it a different way. You began as a frog.
Exactly.
And somebody said, I'm going to snap my fingers and you'll be a clinic. Now, did they say hypnotherapist or did they say clinical hypnotherapist
they
at the
actually
time?
said clinical. Yeah.
Wow, that's very specific.
Very exact. Thank goodness. Because when you're a frog and going to a human, I want to have an exact job here, not just kind of be hanging out as a human.
Did you have any clue what a freaking clinical hypnotherapist was after, spending months and years on a lily pad or whatever?
Flies, I knew that. I knew lily pads, of course. Yeah, that was other frogs. That was pretty much it.
But flies and lily pads, they aren't the typical tools of the trade of your everyday clinical hypnotherapist. So
there were some adjustments. There was a learning curve, from
see.
frog to clinical hypnotherapist. We're talking ramp it up.
So they didn't really snap their fingers and you became a clinic. They gave you the potential of becoming one.
We'll go with that.
Yes. But we're just going to, obviously, if you're a frog and you're turned into a human of any kind, you're just going to go with whatever. If they say you're supposed, clearly they know something you don't, right? So you just go.
I'm happy to have access to more flies now, and I don't eat them. So, it's a win-win when you go from frog to human, no matter what. You're right.
I'm glad that you clarified that because that's an ongoing bet with some friends of mine and I. So that's great. All right. So now you're human. We're going back in time, Wayne's World style. Where you're a human now, and now you have to develop this interest or whatever, this passion for clinical or hypnotherapy in general. So in all seriousness, what happened that you got this interest in hypnotherapy, and how early in your life did you do it? And, just kind of get us into this besides the frogs. So after the frog. Now.
Well, after the frog, yeah. Well, I'll get real with you, Bob.
Okay.
Real. When my mom died when I was 6, and I was having some issues. I was not doing well with, adjusting to life and stuff. That's a big blow for a human.
Sure.
And so by the time I was about 10 or so, my stepmom had come on the scene, and there was that to deal with. And oh my goodness. Now I've lost my mom, I got the stepmom, and around that time I started, let's just say, when some kids go to bed and they wake up and things aren't quite as dry as they were earlier when they had gone to bed. That's one of the ways that kind of came out in my life. And so I sent to a hypnotherapist for that. Dr. North was her name, and this was in the 1970s. I was 10 in 1977. She had me sit in something like a dental chair, and she had me focus on a swirly thing, and she had a German accent.
Wow.
Dr. North, and look into this thing, Stephen.
Are you sure you didn't step into a TV show?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, are you sure you didn't step into a TV show? Because that's what it sounds like.
I may have a TV show from the 70s. Yeah,
like
so
an episode of Get Smart. Yeah, okay.
Say it again?
An episode of Get Smart.
Yes, exactly. Then they popped out. I'm like, you guys. So, yeah. So that happened, the Dr. North thing. And, it was my introduction to hypnosis. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to play with my friend Mike. I'm like, Mike, I got to go to this hypnosis thing. I didn't tell him why, of course. That'd be embarrassing.
Sure.
And so I did that. And it worked. And I thought, wow, hypnosis. And then a few years later, I was in military school. I was bored. I got a book on hypnosis, The Complete Guide to Hypnosis by Leslie Leckrone, a PhD psychologist, who, as it happens, came out with the early tests of hypnotic suggestibility at Stanford and in the 1950s. And so I read his book, The Complete Guide to Hypnosis by Leslie Leckrone, started hypnotizing my roommates in military school. Soon the smart kids came to me wanting to study more efficiently. The athletes wanted to exercise more efficiently. And all these years later, after having gone through school and got a doctorate and so forth, I'm still working with smart kids. In this case, more recently it's NASA, and the athletes more recently are the Dodgers. But it's still the same kind of stuff I was doing back as a kid in high school.
So really, this is all you've done. I mean, this is just your life. You are a professional in this forever, or did you do other things?
I've done other things. I've had other odd jobs here and there along the way.
How odd, Steve? How odd? How?
Oh, really?
Odd.
Oh, my goodness. Well, one time, let's see. You mentioned that you had worked in broadcasting, which I did not know until today before the show. I myself did as well. I worked for a radio station. I went to college, University of Florida in Gainesville, Florida. And while there, I worked at a radio station, 100-watt radio station. And,
isn't that funny? That was the same thing. So when did you graduate?
I was supposed to graduate. I started college in 85. It took me 9 years to get my bachelor's degree because I took the very long scenic route. Like maybe I want to be a medical doctor. Maybe I don't want to go to school. Mm-hmm. Maybe this. All right, I'll get back and finish with psychology. And so it took me 9 years. I graduated in 1994.
Well, I didn't go that long, but we were in school at the same time, and I was a bulldog. So we were studying broadcasting. We were working in radio, I think, at probably the same time. Isn't that interesting?
Well, for my graduate work, I went to Georgia Southern, so I wasn't a bulldog, but I was at least in Georgia.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah. You just, hey, I hear you.
Yeah.
Athens.
So, all right. Okay, so now here's another. This may sound like I'm not serious, but this is a really serious question. Now, there are hypnotherapists all over the place, clinical hypnotherapists, doing great work all over. How is it that you became so freaking internet famous and off internet? How is it that you don't have to tell all your business building secrets, but this, I think, there's got to be a story there, for you to claim and just own this space to the extent that you do. So it's really about kind of your mindset and what your vision was for your career in this and how it came to be.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that leads to certain actions. Ultimately, it's actions that lead to all of this, but your actions are always inspired by your belief in yourself. And I think I just had I've always been kind of like, maybe I'm just the Forrest Gump of hypnosis, really. Maybe that's all it is. Tell them to disassemble that weapon and they do it faster than anyone else. He decides to run across the country and he does. Decides to play ping pong, and then next thing you know, he's playing at a professional level in the Olympics. So I think I'm just kind of like that. Like when I set my mind to something, I just kind of do it all the way and just assume that it's going to work out. And because of that, I'm not saying it's magic or anything. Because of that, I think it's because of that dedication to it, the fact that I always complete things that I start and just stick to things. I think people start to resonate with that, and you kind of get a gathering, and then they think, well, if we're going to make a show, we should probably get someone who's really into it. So that'll be that guy. And if we want to do a project, well, we need somebody who's going to actually, do the thing and do it the right way. That'll be that guy. So I think it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it sounds like you just very early on committed to your passion, really, and just said, well, I'm just going to keep doing it and play big. And then obviously, from a business point of view, you've surrounded yourself with great people who see your ability, and you get to just do what you love to do, which is great. I love it when I ask you questions, anything about the internet stuff, and you're like, ask so-and-so, right? I mean, and how great is that? I mean, that's really, and I'm pointing to this for all the aspiring entrepreneurs of any kind out there, and I do know that I have them out in my audience and stuff, and yours is a great entrepreneurial story, and also taking care of yourself by just doing what you want and all of these things. So it is entirely possible. So now, again, this show is about, making the world a happier place, so we goof around and we talk to people with tools and techniques that can help us do that. Obviously, hypnosis is clearly a tool that can be used for this type of thing. In terms of happiness, when you're working with people, or just the emails you get, or however you're communicating and getting feedback from the populace, what do you find are some of the things that are taking happiness away from people that hypnosis can help them with?
Wow. Well, it's ultimately them doing it to themselves. I mean, that's the real cause, no matter what external blame they may be placing. But where do they place the blame would be, significant other, job, lack of money.
So it sounds like they come in with sometimes with external things, that these are the problems, but obviously what you started this paragraph with, it's an internal thing. So let's talk about what you find is, like, forget what they came in with. What are the real issues that people are coming in with that are taking quality of life away from them?
Don't feel good enough. Mommy and daddy didn't really pay a lot of attention. Traumatic loss early on, and of course compounding over the years. So it's usually something like that. And then the current manifestation that I usually see it in is, I don't know, it could be extreme lack of confidence, or extreme lack of motivation, or running sabotage patterns, things like that.
One of the things I've really been stressing over the past couple of years in my coaching and all that is that the fact that it's wiring. There's so much wiring. We're basically a computer that's been programmed, and those examples you used they're generally early on in life type of things, which left unchecked, which they mostly are, evolve into these other issues, and then the wiring feeds itself. And then by the time they come to you, what you're really dealing with, your job is to rewire, or help them to rewire. And so you have to bypass, I don't know exactly how it all works, but this is the type of thing. So when a person comes in with a confidence issue, that will prevent them from taking, it just seems like a confidence issue. Okay, simple. But the way that branches out into life and manifests itself is they're not going to take action on this. They're not going to dare to dream. They're not going to be able to create a vision. They're not going to bring their best selves to the relationship. They're going to compromise in their relationships. Oh my God, it just goes on and on and on. So it's not just like a lack of confidence, and any of these issues do this. So they come to you, or a hypnotist in general. How do you begin to get them into the state where now you can help them?
Well, I use the tools at hand. If I were I almost said pharmacist. If I were a physician, a psychiatrist, I would prescribe I would prescribe medicine, and I would also do therapy with them. I don't have those tools. I'm not a medical doctor. A psychiatrist is a medical doctor. If I were in the jungle of Peru, maybe ayahuasca would be the tool of choice. That's not legal in this country. So I use the tools of choice that are legal and I'm trained in, and that would be hypnosis. And I mentioned those others to say that I'm not saying that hypnosis is the best way. It's just the way that I use. Mm-hmm. So with me, I need to first assess what's causing this. figure that out, then create a roadmap, and then we do a hypnosis session where I walk them through different scenarios where we could do that differently. So we've got this wired this way. Let's do it that way. You've never done it that way. Well, you're doing it right now that way in your mind. And so we're going to hardwire that in. This is a possible path now. This one's still here. We're going to do what we can to degrade that path a little bit. And we're also wiring this one in.
So again, let's sort of for people who are still maybe looking at hypnosis as, is it even a real thing? Is it woo-woo? What's the deal? Let's just kind of demystify a bit. I mean, I know you've had this, it's part of your process is to debunk myths about hypnosis for a person who comes in, because I know when I first started playing with it, I think I had unrealistic expectations of what it would feel like and what I wouldn't remember, or just how, that kind of stuff. So just for those who may have heard about hypnosis their whole life, but just decided that's not going to work on me, or that's just a stage thing. What do you tell those people to get them to just sort of at least be open to a further exploration?
Well, I never engage someone in battle like that. Like say we were at a party or something, or with some friends, and somebody said that, I would say, yeah, you're probably right. I would just say that. I don't really mean that, but I'm trying to diffuse that, because I get that a lot.
Sure.
Like, oh, that's not going to work, or that's not going to work on me. So for that, in a one-on-one situation where I don't want to be bothered with it, I always say, yeah, you're right. And then that diffuses the whole thing. But the actual answer is, and they are right in a sense, because they're hypnotizing themselves to believe
absolutely
that.
Right.
Yep. Themselves, yeah. So the actual more detailed answer is, and can you repeat the question the exact way you asked it?
It's basically just helping people understand, like, what do you tell them about, like, some of the basic myths that you debunk. And yes, okay. I'm talking about someone who has voluntarily come up to you and is looking for help, not someone who's fighting you on it, but just at least wants a base understanding of what to expect and what, what's realistic and what's not about what you hear about hypnosis.
Summary you want. Okay, yeah. And that's what we call the pre-talk. So anytime I work with someone one-on-one, I charge a lot these days for that. So I see fewer clients as a result of higher prices. It's just basic economics. But so for the first hour, I just talk with them. And the second hour, I do hypnosis. So in the first hour, I do the pre-talk. I find out what they want to work on, but I also give them the pre-talk, which is the stuff you're asking about, and I'm debunking the ideas they've heard. So one of the things that most people have heard is that maybe you've seen or heard of the movie The Curse of the Jade Scorpion, Woody Allen movie. Have you heard of that, Bob?
No, I haven't. Is it recent?
It's good. No, it's old. It's like 20 years old. But okay. Woody Allen makes a movie every year, and sometimes people don't even notice. But anyway, I recommend it. It's about hypnosis, and it's about post-hypnotic suggestion. And in the movie Curse of the Jade Scorpion, Woody Allen is activated. He's hypnotized beforehand, and then he's activated on the phone. Somebody says something like Madagascar, and Woody Allen has to go rob his neighbor or rob a bank. He's programmed. So that kind of stuff is nonsense. That's not the way hypnosis works. Mm-hmm. That's far too elaborate. It would be possible that you could have someone that's suggestible, but they wouldn't be functional at the same time in order to be that suggestible. They wouldn't be cognitively functional and able to carry out everyday life. That I know of. I don't know if the CIA's come up with something, but as far as I know.
I'll ask him. Hold on a second. Let me just ask the CIA.
Check with them on the red phone, Bob.
Yeah. Well, someone's on it right now. I'll have to call him back. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They'll call you anytime. So I know how.
Okay. So it's not, so it's just really, it is one of many tools that can help you rewire. And that's really what this is all about.
On the positive side, yeah. Oh, let me summarize. I got kind of sidetracked and in detail on that. So, it's a normal state of consciousness. You would achieve this anytime you're, say you're at a, say you work in cubicle land and you get to work. So the alarm goes off, you wake up, you're in beta, full awakening consciousness. Hit snooze, go back to alpha. Maybe go down to theta or delta where you were during sleep. And then the alarm goes off, you go back to full awakening consciousness, beta, get in the shower, you back down to alpha. And then in your car ride, you're in alpha 2. You're at work, you see the boss, beta, full awakening consciousness, and cubicle, alpha, probably the rest of the day. Anytime you're in alpha, that's a hypnotic state. you go into hypnosis every day of the week. The only difference is, number one, no one's telling you something positive while you're there. And number two, you're not being guided there purposefully by a hypnotherapist.
Right. Okay. So great, because that watching TV, all these things to put you in that same sort of state. It's about what are you putting in. So this is about being intentional with a trained professional who knows, okay, this is what we're going for. This is how we need to reroute this. And it does. And here's the other thing that I'm sure that you will agree upon. It is not a one-time deal. Rewiring doesn't always happen in an instant. It took years to get there, right? And so hypnotherapy, whether it's through a professional or self-hypnosis, right? It's kind of like this, you don't just give it a try one time and expect all the results, right?
Correct. And I encourage people to, when I do a live hypnosis session with them, I encourage them to record it and to listen to that for 21 nights in a row afterwards, just to really drill that in. There are shortcuts, like Tony Robbins will use something where he yells really loud or something, he wants to make an imprint on your limbic system. So there are ways to just really aggressively reach out. Your brain's programmed like this, like if an explosion goes off or something that you need to remember, it'll start imprinting everything about that. That's why you remember all those horrible events of things that happen, because your brain's taking in information. Remember this and avoid it.
Sure.
So there are shortcuts, but basically when it comes to hypnosis, I don't use those shortcuts. So 21 nights is good.
So now let's talk about self-hypnosis versus, I guess, professional. I've seen professional hypnotists, and I have read and done self-hypnosis. What is your and then you, of course, famously have hundreds and hundreds of guided hypnosis type of things, recordings and whatnot, different programs that I guess walk people through it in lieu of seeing you as a professional. So of those things, self-hypnosis, listening to a guided hypnosis, then working with the session, can you distinguish what people can expect from those things?
So we're putting a hypnosis audio against a live in-person session, and was there a third thing?
Yes, versus self-hypnosis, like they're just, whether they're doing it in their mind or I guess their own recording. But I'm the distinction between a recording that they would make based on something they read, as opposed to something that you would produce based on years of experience.
Oh, okay, those two things. I was going to start taking notes here. So just those two things against each other. Yeah, so that's that's a great question. Here's the deal. If you listen to an audio, then if you fall asleep, that audio still plays. If you hypnotize yourself, now if you don't do it in an audio and you fall and you're talking and saying these relaxing words and you fall asleep, well, guess what? The hypnotherapist just fell asleep and there's no more hypnosis going on.
Yeah.
But if you please put that in an audio for yourself, now you're competing with an actual audio by a hypnotherapist, because if you fall asleep or you start to get sluggish, which you will during hypnosis, it's just a natural byproduct of being hypnotized, then it'll be okay. So if you're going to do self-hypnosis, bottom line is I recommend that you record it and listen to it. Now, if you do that and you put that against a professional hypnosis recording, you're still at a disadvantage, unfortunately, but you've bridged that gap tremendously with that. You still have the disadvantage of, I don't know, not being a professional hypnotherapist with years of experience.
Sure, and also and also then you're assessing that too. Well, I would, it's like, this is just me. Who am I to say any of this stuff? All that. It's just
that's another thing. Yeah. And when I was a kid, I used to play one of my first gifts from my dad was a maybe this helps too, informing me as a hypnotherapist who makes audios. I got a tape recorder and I loved it. When I first played my voice, I thought, who is that? Like everybody else does. Except for me, that was at like age 6 that I found that out. I quickly got over it and started to like it. So a lot of people are kind of freaked out by their voice. That's a very good point. Yep. I take that for granted that I actually enjoy. Well, I enjoy listening to my voice, but then again, I listen for any errors or where I think there may have been or could be. So I do start analyzing a little bit. So even for me, it can be a challenge. Very good point, Bob.
Now, of course, when you record your audios.
Well, let me get.
Yeah, let's get into Dr. Steve G. Jonesville.
Whoa.
Now.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Of course, I have famously given you crap about that for years. Hello, I'm Dr. Steve G.
Sometimes.
Well,
Hello.
because when I met you, you talk like a real person.
Right. Yeah, this gets back into our like personal interactions, me and Bob. So Bob used to, can I go ahead and tell everyone kind of?
Whatever you want to say.
I'm going to tell everyone. All right. So Bob used to watch my videos that are on YouTube, which I've had on there since I think 2007, and that main channel is no longer there. But anyway, I still do have a lot of those videos on there where I was very formal, and I still am very formal because I, kind of the Forrest Gump approach, like I said, just, tell them what they need to know.
Yep.
But Bob, here's Bob's impression of me. Hello, I'm Dr. Steve G. Jones. And that's a perfect impression because that's exactly what I say on all
I was going to say, I can't imagine you were going to
not
criticize it. Yeah.
It's not hyperbole at all. So, but Bob shared that with me. And when he did it, see, I wasn't aware of how it comes across as potentially humorous until Bob shared it with me. Now that's our joke between me and also our friend Lynn Rose. We all three of us now say, hello.
Hello, I'm Dr. Steve G. Jones.
Even in the birthday card I wrote for Lynn Rose at her party, I started it out, hello, I'm Dr. Steve G. Jones, and I asked her to read it out loud.
You should absolutely have T-shirts with your face on there. Hello, I'm Dr. Steve G. Jones. It's begging to be done. And it is funny because I'm just about to ask you questions about your certification program, and I saw your YouTube or Facebook, whatever, your social media video for that. And you're very excited and enthusiastic. And then I thought, okay, he's changed it. And then 2 weeks ago, it was like, hello, I'm Dr. Steve G. Jones. I'm getting ready to do some recordings. And I was like, wow, he just right back into it.
I know, but that, that's me also, Bob. That's another side of me. That is an authentic side of me that I'm just in work mode. I'm getting stuff done. This is the deal.
Yep.
But then I also have that fun side that you helped me realize that I need to bring out, and I have done. This is an example of it. I think I've done a reasonable job of bringing that fun side out.
You absolutely have. You absolutely have. And if I was in any way instrumental in that, I'm thrilled to death about that. No, I mean, because obviously
100% instrumental.
All right, awesome. But
I think,
obviously, I
Joe
know.
Vitale said something too about the old videos.
Oh, Joe Schmo. So,
but he didn't say it in my living room.
yeah.
You made fun of me in my living room on my couch.
Okay, you're gonna make me feel bad now.
No. It was all in good fun. There's no malice to it at all. It was all in good fun. But it was like, wow, okay, let's look into that.
Well, okay, awesome. But let's talk about your certification program and the reason that, because I asked to look at it because I wanted to see what it was and all of that.
Check it out.
Regardless of, when people think about certification program, they might think, well, I'm not interested in becoming a certified, that's not my professional goal. But as I was looking at the contents of this thing, I'm like, when I first started getting interested in hypnosis, years ago, early 20s or whatever, and there's a book here and a book there, I wanted to learn how to do it. And there just wasn't, I couldn't find anything that was nearly as complete as this. Because I was looking, and you talked about the pre-talk and all the different phases. Even if you're not going to go into this as a profession, if you're interested in hypnosis, I'm going, wow, this is everything you need to know, and it's reasonable and all of those things. So what birthed this? Does it demand or the certification program?
Well, the moving it to the online platform happened in 2004, and at that time I was moving from Los Angeles, and I had my office in Beverly Hills, and I lived in Marina Del Rey, and I was moving to our beloved state of Georgia. We both attended higher education institutions at, and I was wanting to move things more online. So that's when I started the online certification in 2004. That's what birthed that particular iteration of it. What birthed the certification before that was just the desire to pay it forward. You got to train the next group of folks who can do this, and I also started the American Alliance of Hypnotists. So I wanted to, we need some hypnotists in the American Alliance of Hypnotists, so we needed to train some. So initially, when we started that in 2001, we didn't have any because we just started in 2001. Yeah. So we had to train some. So it was also for that. It feeds the American Alliance of Hypnotists.org.
Now, do you find that, like, the people who come in and go through this certification program and actually complete it, like, I know because I've read the testimonials and such, that people do use this for professional purposes, but any idea how many people go through it just for educating themselves?
Yeah, you got to wonder about that. And we haven't surveyed for that. We haven't checked for that. Since my doctorate's in education, I do make sure that the grade distribution is on a bell-shaped curve, as it should be. Some people are failing, some are passing, and all that. But we haven't explored that particular avenue that you mentioned.
It doesn't really matter. I was just curious because I see it like I'm going to go through it because I want to learn it. Right. And then it's just a tool in my tool chest. And, admittedly, over the years, I've been teaching law of attraction stuff for 20 years, all about different release techniques. I haven't put much of an emphasis on hypnosis as much as like EFT and some other release techniques, simply because I just haven't dived deep enough into it. I've had my experiences with it, which were kind of like, I played once on a stage and that was whacked. And then I saw, a regular hypnotherapist for a while, but I think I was just too in my head about it, and I think that I'm one of those people who, and there might be some of these people watching right now who are just constantly assessing, am I hypnotized? Is this it? What does it feel like? I know I wasn't going this way, but this is a question that just popped into my head at this point.
Here we go. We're going that way now.
Well, you've got to run into that, right? Where people are constantly assessing themselves, or maybe you head that off of the past with your pre-talk, but what do you do? How do you talk to those people?
We got all kinds of tricks.
I'm sure.
Now, but that's a standard one. You just use a confusion induction, because with a person who is critical about things, they want things to add up. So you use an induction that says something like, 1 plus 1 could equal the square root of 4 plus 3 minus 2. But if you think about it, and as you relax, you realize that 5 plus 4 doesn't actually equal 17, although as you go deeper and just allow yourself to unwind now, you also realize that the square root of, oh my God, Bob, snap out of it.
Oh, I'm so confused.
So that's the idea. You're weaving the relaxation stuff in with a bunch of nonsense about logic that doesn't quite work out. And so it gives that cognitive, I'm going to be in charge of everything that happens in my environment brain, something to do. You do that. Meanwhile, I'll be over here working the limbic system, and I'll be feeding in relax and deeper and things like that every now and then. Yep.
Now, and these are the types of things that we can learn in the certification course?
Yep. Yeah, that's a standard technique, actually, the confusion induction. Yep.
I love it. And then so now we talked about, being able to make recordings for yourself. If you were doing this just for yourself to help yourself, would this be, I imagine that this would help you to write scripts and different things that were recorded that are way above like something you might just download off the internet that's very generic, because you've learned the skills.
One would hope. And that is the intention. The intention of the program is that you will be a trained hypnotherapist. Sometimes you have to call yourself a hypnotist, and depending on the state you're in and the country you're in. But you'll be trained to do that. And you will also be able to make, your own audios for yourself or others, or make them and sell them if you want to. You'll be, trained to do that the right way, according to Dr. Steve G. Jones. So assuming I got some of this stuff right, you will too.
Basically, I just wanted to introduce the concept of getting this level of education through a certification program for the average person who might not consider it because they're thinking, well, that's not what I want to do professionally. But I would submit that the set of skills that you acquire by going through this thing would be far-reaching, because obviously you're going to understand the brain a little bit more, probably the way that you operate more, and just I can't see it being anything less than empowering.
I agree. I mean, it's like if somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, do you want to have the skills of Bruce Lee?" I mean, you may never get in a fight. That may never happen. But would you like to have them or not? And so I'd probably say yes. I would like to have those, just in case. I never know. So Bruce Lee and I have the same birthday. That's why I use Bruce Lee.
Ah, I see. Well, me and Chevy Chase have the same birthday, and I can't think of anything applicable here that Chevy Chase has ever said. So
Heavy. I lived in Chevy Chase for a while.
Wow.
Not in the person's
do
body.
tell.
Though.
This is like a. Never mind. All right. How does this happen? All right. Well,
hey, universe.
Yes. Well, look, I appreciate you sharing all of this with us. If people have not heard of you, I have no freaking clue how that happened. I'm sure that everybody watching this right now is well familiar with your work. You've mentioned the numerous YouTube videos and different things. Is there some other place that you generally, and then I've got a link that I've been sharing about the certification program if people want to look at that. But is there a general go-to place where they can just kind of get familiar with all things Steve G?
I like the way you say that, Steve J. Yes, you can go to stevejjones.com. stevejjones.com. Trying to make it hip, Bob. How am I doing? stevejjones.com.
This is now the hippest, as if it weren't before, but now this show has just, the hip meter it's off the freaking charts is what it is. I think we've done some
measurable in the frame here.
I think we've done some damage. The ceiling's falling in. We're both looking at it, so clearly it's true.
Blew it away.
All right, Steve, thank you so much. I'm sure we will talk again.
Bob, I will look forward to it. Have a great one.
You guys can sit down. So, is everybody's life just a little bit better? Because I know mine is. And if it's not, remember, you can always just get one of these things. And just dare yourself. I'm going to go to the bank. No, see, not the bank. You got to go someplace. Where can you wear these where it's okay? We're taking your calls. 1-800 to wear. Hello, you're on the air with Bob Doyle. Hello, yes, I have some ideas about where to wear those things. Okay, well, that's great because that's exactly the question we put out to the audience. So your timing could not be better. Where do you suggest that we wear these things? I think any place where there's wax museums. Okay, all right. You know what? I can almost see a logic in that. Yeah, okay, bye. Well, that was a weird phone call. But, that's what every now and then, not everybody who calls here is as intelligent as Dr. Steve G. Jones. Now, let's check in with you because you've been very patient and been, as always, just an amazing engaged group of people. I wish we could do hearts and things like that in real time. I know that's it's just because, and I wish I could heart you back. That feels like that was a dangerous sentence, but I think it's okay. So we've got Loretta and Sarah and Ursula are still hanging out. Tracy's jumped in the room. We've got Diana still hanging in there. Joyce. Now I know what you're wanting to do. Excuse me. You're wanting to run off, but I can't let you do that because we have some birthdays in our viewership. That's right. Now, one of them is in the room, and one of them isn't because it's her birthday. So she'll just have to catch this on the replay. But one of them is in the room. And I just happen to have a ukulele right here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Loretta and Lisbeth. Happy birthday to you. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now, if you prefer it happier, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lisbeth and Loretta. Happy birthday to you and many more. I should have taken a bigger breath because I could have probably really impressed you with how long I held that note if I had thought about it, but I didn't, so that's it. Woo! Oh man, I gotta take a break. A little meditation break. Let's do it together. Let's all breathe right now. Serious. I'm serious. This is a happiness hack, free of charge. I promise you, you don't. And some of you who are breathers, and you know who you are, you know what I'm talking about. And I don't mean like humans who breathe all the time. This is me trying to stretch 6 minutes. I have no freaking idea how I'm going to do it. But we're going to try and hide it behind some breathing, okay? Because, seriously, even though it sounds like just a filler with emptiness in it, with just it sounds of air coming in and out of bodies, you're actually getting a very good biological benefit from the breathing. Why I have to talk like this to say it, I don't know. But it does make it just a little bit more interesting for people who are not annoyed by it. Of which I am, unfortunately, one. All right. That would have been better if those chords were reversed. Let's breathe together. I'm serious. You guys, stop laughing at me behind my back. I can feel you pointing. And giggling. Giggling has energy. It's like little tiny, it's like people come up to your back and go. Like that on your back. That's how we who pick up on giggle energy. I like that as one word. I don't know. She's got a certain giggle energy about her. Right? I just can't stop. Are you on board with the giggle energy? Could we please breathe? I don't know why you keep delaying it. Is it because we've only got 4 minutes left? Okay. I'm just suggesting that people can see right through that. You're not fooling anybody. Let's breathe. Are you ready? Now, when I say breathe, I don't mean do this. If we have any little chihuahuas in the audience, if that's how you do it, that's fine. Go right ahead. I'm not telling you how to breathe. I'm not a chihuahua. Oh, but if I was. Am I right? So we're going to breathe. We're going to breathe deeply. I'm serious. We're going to breathe deeply. And this is something you can do anytime, by the way. Breathing is free. Seriously. You will never get a bill. All right, here we go. So we're going to breathe in deeply, and we're going to hold it for just hold it for just and then we're going to let it out. But here's the thing. You do it more than once. Like 3 times minimum. Because otherwise you're just, come on, commit. You can do it. Here we go. I forgot to say let it out slowly. Let it out slowly. Not all the way. Don't force it all out. I don't want you falling on the ground, especially if it's your birthday. Just let the air out. All right, we're going to do it again. Here we go. If you're not doing it, you're wasting an opportunity to reset your body just a little bit. I'm telling you, it's a happiness hack. Do you see what it's done to my voice? Can you imagine after the 3rd breath how I'll be talking? You won't have to imagine it if you just stick around. Are you ready for the 3rd? Now, normally you don't do so much talking and resetting between these breaths. You just freaking do them. Here we go for the 3rd one. In your nose, in your mouth, I don't care. I should have said through. Okay, again, do as I say, not as I do. Normally, you don't laugh your way through the last breath. However, it can happen where you are overcome with so much joy because of the reset, the lack of cortisol, that you may in fact spontaneously giggle. Giggle energy. You'll have a giggle energy about you that people will not be able to not see. That was not economical with my words. Yeah. So see, the show needs to end. Luckily, I've only got a minute left. So should we do one more breath without laughing? Why not? Let's just for fun. Are you having fun? I am. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, well, we've done it. Another Bob Doyle Show out in the world, out in the universe, ready to do its good, spread its positive message of, never underestimate the value of a smile. Hey, and all of those other things. Without you, this show is just me. Think about that for a while, if you dare.